All right, so I'm really excited today. We have with us Madeline or Maddie, who was a Game of Apps student with us. And so I just had a few questions for her that I'd like to ask, and hopefully this will help you with your journey as she talks about her own journey. So hello, Maddie. So
Hi.
first off, I just wanted to ask you, tell us a little bit about yourself. What are some of your interests when you were growing up and going through high school?
So growing up, I was always a really, really athletic kid. I was known for my sports. I played a couple years in the States. That was basically, if you knew my name, you knew I was an athlete. That was kind of everything about me. Growing up, I'd always been interested in tech, but never really found a way to get my foot in the door. So in high school, I took photography, I took a lot of IT classes, I peer tutored a class in my grade 12 year. I just really wanted to kind of help out and learn in any way I could. So my interests mainly when I started going to tech was Photoshop and Illustrator, which doesn't say a lot if you have access to a computer, because anyone can learn that with YouTube tutorials. And I will say I'm also a very, very creative person, and I feel like that has helped me a lot in my journey. Now, after completing Game of Apps and just in general, my interests really lie in UX design, which I learned in Game of Apps. Also, I found an interest in sound production and motion graphics, which I find really cool and still kind of connects me to what I originally wanted to do. So, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That's cool. As you know, we only started doing videos this year in Game of Apps. Actually, I'm not sure if you know, but it's been a journey for us, and it's been really exciting learning a lot about that too, the audio and video production. So it's a really good skill to have, especially during this time in the pandemic.
Yeah.
So what are you doing now? So what school are you going to? How did you get there, and what are you doing?
So now I'm attending Ryerson University in Toronto. I'm in the New Media Interactive Design program, which is there's 65 of us in it. It's about 5,000 applicants. It's super competitive. There's only a couple of programs like it throughout the country. So it's really, really cool that I'm in this program. It's amazing. And so a really good way to describe my program, when I say new media, most people don't know what I'm talking about. So a good way to describe it is I get to experience and create anything I want using the likes of design and media theory, programming, video sound production, art history, digital fabrication, and contemporary art, and website app design. Basically, anything with a computer, I can do something with it. And it's really, the cool thing about what I'm doing is they give us an idea or a prompt, and we're allowed to just run with it. And whatever our idea is, we can just create whatever we want. How I got there, my program is based more on a portfolio. So it was really about what I could do rather than my grades, even though my grades did play a large factor into it because grades matter. But I will say Game of Apps helped me a lot to getting where I am now, just because it gave me a lot of experience in what I am doing now. Like I remember in one of my classes this past semester, actually, we had 2 lectures in typography, which I remembered we actually did a whole unit on it in the first 12 weeks of Game of Apps. And it just it was really cool to sit there and watch my profs teach his lecture. And I'm like, hey, I learned this already. It was a really fun experience. But yeah, so right now I am at home, but I am taking school out in Toronto, which is just very fun and a really cool environment to learn tech in. So yeah.
Okay, awesome. You talked about Game of Apps. How did you hear about Game of Apps, and why did you join?
So I first heard about Game of Apps through my IT teacher at the time, Miss Guest. And through hearing interest about it, I didn't really know anything about what it was. I knew it was an app design and development program, and I'm like, you know what, this sounds cool. So I had a friend who was already in the program, and I talked to him about it, and he's like, you know what, come out, try it. If you like it, stay in it. If you don't, no worries, don't go. And then I ended up talking to Miss Guest about it, and even she said it's worth trying if I'm interested in that kind of stuff. So I signed up, I went, I had no idea what I was doing, no experience at all, and I ended up really falling in love with it and finding my place, and it really helped me decide what I wanted to do when I get older, 2 years from now. But getting into it was it was just a snap decision, this looks cool, I'm gonna try it, let's just join it. So
okay, great. And how did it kind of help you decide what you want to do?
Well, like I said, I really only had, I did want to do tech, and I knew I only really had a knack for Photoshop and Illustrator. And learning UX design, learning Xcode and Figma and all these other things and all these various applications I have access to, I learned how to kind of create my own things. And a lot of my portfolio pieces that I actually used to get into my university was stuff that I had taken from what I learned at Game of Apps and turned it into something new. So, I mean, it just like, it really helped me kind of streamline where I wanted to go, because I knew I wanted something big, and then doing Game of Apps kind of helped me focus on, I'm like, okay, well, I like this over this. Like, before going in, I didn't know I liked design over coding. I'm not great at coding. I'm good at design. So that really helped me kind of cut out a whole section of what I wanted to do. So, yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. So you talked about athletics. Can you tell me a little bit how your background and experience in athletics, how that fits into to what you're doing, and how how it would help someone who wants to go into technology?
Yeah, of course. So in athletics growing up, I always played team sports. I played soccer, volleyball, rugby, and softball being my main sport. And the one big thing about team sports is you're always working towards a common goal as a group. And I really found that tied in to what I was doing in Game of Apps. And even now in university, a lot of the time we're working in big groups and you all want to go towards a common goal. So you're helping each other get there. So also, playing so many sports as a kid really allowed me to kind of emerge as a leader in what I was doing. And being a leader, I learned the roles of what everyone has to do. Like, as a leader, you're kind of dictating what everyone else has to do. You're keeping everyone accountable for their actions. You're just making sure everything gets done. And even though in Game of Apps, I would say I was not so much the leader as I was just part of the group, it still offered me a way to learn how to respect what they were doing and learn to be accountable for my actions. So I believe being in that team environment all the time just really like helped me become accountable and learn what my role is. And just, if I hadn't have had that experience growing up and going into Game of Apps, or even now without kind of the idea of what a team is, I definitely would have struggled in the kind of aspect of working together a lot more than I did. And honestly, I mean, sports are good for you. They're fun. And just being in that environment just really works really well with almost everything in life. So
yeah, that's awesome. And as a result, you also got a scholarship through athletics.
I did. Yeah, I'm currently playing for the Rams softball team out at Ryerson. I had a not full ride, but paid for about 3 years of my schooling.
That's
so
awesome.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's really awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations for that.
Thank you.
So, yeah, but what you say is so true. I think, going through athletics and learning how to play in a team, knowing that people depend on you to play your part and to do your part well, that's so helpful in not just in athletics for sure, but in technology and many other aspects of life. So any final words of wisdom that you might want to leave to current or future Game of Apps students?
Final words of wisdom. Well, like I said before, going into this program, I had no idea what I was doing. And honestly, I was pretty afraid, but there's no reason to be. There's no reason to be scared if you don't know what you're doing, because I went in and I ended up coming out of this program falling in love with design and app design, and like it ended up branching out into so many different ways. And honestly, don't be afraid of trying new things. Like, a lot of the things that ended up getting me into my program, and even some of the comments I've gotten from my profs now, is like how I'm not afraid to, I've never, like, say we did a whole thing on motion graphics and I'd never done a motion graphic before, and I went like head first in. I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna try this. If I fail, I fail. If I try and succeed, that's great. So don't be afraid to just try something new. I mean, there's tutorials, there's people that are willing to help you. I mean, I'm sure your mentors are willing to help you with anything. So yeah, just don't be afraid to try new things. Like, it's so much fun, and it's definitely worth it in the long run.
Yeah, that's so true. Thanks for that. I mean, I think the people who will do well in the future exactly have these kinds of that attitude of being willing to try new things, because things change so fast. One last thing I wanted to ask you. What role did Miss Guest play in your whole journey? So, your journey has been really awesome so far. Tell us a little bit about what role Miss Guest played in that.
So Miss Guest for me originally was just an IT teacher at my school. And I mean, I always felt a connection with her because I would often stay after class. I would try and do extra work, and like, I don't want to say I was a good IT student, but I did get very good marks and I did enjoy what I was doing, and I tended to put in a lot of effort in my projects. And because of that, me and her developed a very good relationship of where I would actually try extra help. And then by my grade 12 year, I was taking an IT class. I was actually peer tutoring one of her younger classes that was only a year younger than me, but because of my experience, it actually worked out very well. And I was also doing a program called Work Experience, and she actually got me in with a nonprofit, and I was running their social media for a few months. So with Miss Guest, she actually became really like a mentor to me. She was helping me out with some of my IT stuff. I was going to her if I ever needed anything. And she helped me a lot, just kind of figure out what I wanted to do. And she was great at critiquing what I was doing and just kind of keeping me on the right path. And yeah, I'm really grateful to have had her as a teacher. She was just honestly amazing. So yeah.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for that shout out to Miss Guest. I'm sure she's going to appreciate it when she sees this video. Well, thank you so much, Maddie. I really appreciate you spending a few minutes with us today to just talk about your journey. And I hope that you can keep in touch with us. And maybe, you could come back and talk, or maybe even help out with some of the future Game of Apps sessions.
Of course.
Okay, all right. Thank you. You have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.